Okay.
Um, yeah, so it looks like there's a cloud by my name and your name. So it either is going to go to my account or whoever's account that scheduled this. But what I'm also going to do is, as a safeguard, I'm going to do a screen recording
Mm-hmm.
um, of the event. So would you like that screen recording to be in gallery view or speaker view?
Speaker view, please.
Okay, sounds good.
And so I don't mean to not respond to your email. I'll get back to it of which email we used because for the dialogues we have FAS HR programs account, which this is being used right now for.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering because you had asked for the email, so I was going to send that over um, and
Are
see if.
you?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, no.
Are you logged into that account right now with the Zoom?
No, I'm like a participant coming in.
Mm, okay. So we'll try it again this way, and we'll see what
Mhm.
happens. Um, but maybe it might be an issue of that account doesn't show up to the call. So it's okay if you didn't want to have someone log into the account and be on the call. What you could do is just add, you could add me or add like people from your team as alternate host,
Mhm.
and then it would basically be like the host is in the call, except obviously that particular account would be in the call.
So I know the dialogues we had like multiple names as hosts, whereas this one, I think it's just the program's account and yourself.
Um, so you had alternate host, or you just had like when they joined the meeting, they were host?
No, we put in the settings to put the program's team all as co-hosts, and I believe yourself were on that drop down.
Okay.
Um, so it might be in one of their accounts, and they just maybe are having a hard time finding it, maybe, and or it's floating somewhere in this FASHR programs.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to like change the search. Um, like sometimes the search menus are between certain days, so
Yeah.
maybe looking through that. Um, but yeah, so that's what I'm going to do today.
Okay.
So that just means I won't be able to be on gallery view. So just chat with me if anything comes up and you need me to switch from that.
All right. And when Jess gets on, I'll let her know that we're in gallery view. I mean, we're in speaker view, right?
Well, I'll just be in speaker view, so I won't be able to see the gallery view. So like if someone has a disturbing background or something like that, I won't be able to notice that until you point it out to me, because
Oh,
I'll be doing the screen recording in speaker view.
speaker view. Okay, speaker
Yeah.
view. Um, okay,
All righty.
perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shall I begin?
All yours, Chris.
All righty. Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris Ciotti, Associate Dean for HR at FAS, and I am delighted that you could join us today to celebrate FAS and Harvard's continuing commitment to Year Up. So please settle in with your coffee, maybe you have a bagel or some yogurt, however you start your day. We're pleased that you're starting it with us. Before we begin, a quick programming note to let you know that we'll have a Q&A period at the end of the breakfast, so you can write your questions in the chat. Please do that, and we will answer them at the Q&A. So just a very few comments because we have a full agenda for you today. During such a turbulent time where we're facing mounting anxiety from COVID and from a continuing lack of social justice, Year Up is an opportunity for organizations like Harvard and FAS to make a real difference to many young adults who stand to the side of the economic mainstream. We're lucky to have several leaders with us today to talk about the importance of the partnership between Year Up and Harvard, including Gerald Chertavian, the founder and CEO of Year Up. But first, tell you more about FAS's commitment to a diverse community and its over 10-year relationship with Year Up is Leslie Kerwin, FAS Dean for Administration and Finance. FAS has partnered with Year Up for all of Leslie's tenure, which is no coincidence. Early on, Leslie embraced the numerous opportunities that Year Up created for FAS and for the talented interns, as well as those interns who transitioned into regular roles at both FAS and Harvard. It's my pleasure to introduce Leslie Kerwin. Leslie, the virtual podium is yours.
Thanks so much, Chris, and good morning, everybody. It's bittersweet to be having one of our favorite events of the year together virtually rather than in person. There's always so much electricity in the room when we get to do this on campus, and I miss doing that. I miss seeing you all in my basement here, but you're all in my thoughts, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this virtual version of our Year Up breakfast. Now, I had the pleasure recently to watch another virtual event, which is when Gerald hosted a huge celebration for Year Up's 20th anniversary. And in Harvard at the time was inducted into the Year Up Hall of Fame with many other organizations and individuals who have contributed to it over the years. And that's a huge, it's something that we celebrate at Harvard, being one of the sort of corporate partners, and having so many interns come through Harvard over especially the last 10 years that Chris and I and many of you have been involved has been really one of the most important things that we have done. And since Year Up's inception, I think we've hosted more than 200 interns across 7 different schools and units at Harvard. And like everything else, FAS is big, so we're at least 35% of that. And many of those interns have gone on to full-time jobs within Harvard. This is more important than ever right now. Just as we are dealing with the virus pandemic, we have to have a renewed focus on the other pandemic that we're dealing with, the twin pandemic of systemic racial injustice, police brutality, white supremacy that are so present in America and that are more obvious than ever before, but that have sort of underlain the lack of opportunity that Gerald so wisely recognized as a very young man with a personal connection to a boy that he got to know through the Big Brother program. And we are so humbled to be associated with Year Up at this time. It's an institution that has at its core the goal of addressing the opportunity gap that is one of the results of these cancerous elements of our culture in America. Now, I recently read that a statement that Gerald posted in support of Black Lives Matter. And in that statement, he said that he regrets not doing more to combat these forces. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I was humbled to read those words coming from the founder of Europe, who has made this a huge part of his life, really the core mission of his life. And so when I read that, I feel like it's one more call to action for white institutions, historically white institutions like Harvard, and individuals like all of us to confront our role in fighting for change. And I hope you young people on the call will understand that this is something that Harvard is going to work really hard at, and this is underway. Our dean, Claudine Gay, recently appointed the very first FAS Associate Dean for Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging. We've been able to recruit a fantastic partner. She may be on the call. Her name is Cherie Ohen, and she has a long background as a lawyer and as a university administrator in working to promote the diversity, inclusion, and belonging in the institutions where she's worked. And along with the hiring of Cherie, our dean, Claudine Gay, has created quite an ambitious program that we are going to be implementing in the FAS to increase our diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And a huge part of that is looking for more opportunities to hire and promote diverse candidates into not only entry-level roles, but leadership roles within the FAS. Now, Europe has been a great pipeline for us, and we love that, and we are not going to back down on that, but we also have to hold ourselves to a standard of making sure that that opportunity gap doesn't persist at the higher levels of the organization. And that's something that we are going to work really hard on. So with those introductory statements, let me, with huge pleasure, introduce the man that really brings us all together in this, who started this wonderful, wonderful program and who continues to inspire me, and I'm sure all of us, every single day as we work with Europe, and that is Gerald Chertavian. One more thing before I turn it over to Gerald: vote like your life depends on it. Gerald.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Leslie. And I would echo your last comment fervently on voting. Thank you for raising that. In fact, Europe had a phone-a-thon, and we registered more than 1,000 of our alumni to vote over the past several weeks in Arizona, in Illinois, and places that really matters. So thanks for that. And thank you so much for everything you've done, Leslie, and to support our partnership. You've advocated and supported for Europe, not just across Harvard, but I've seen you do it across the country, talking to other executives saying, hey, look, this works. You can do more about this, and encouraging other folks to build those strong, durable relationships. Your leadership, your support, your guidance has been really, really helpful. And on behalf of all of Europe, I want to say thank you to you. And the team at Harvard is amazing. I feel good every time I walk on campus, right? Because I know that the values that you describe are real and intentional as to where the university, what it believes and where it's taking itself. I know that, right? And I feel good when I walk across the campus.
Don't forget your mask.
Yeah, I do. They don't let me in the yard anymore. I get turned away at the yard, but that's okay. I understand why. It's just, look, it's great to be with you. Okay, no one likes to be virtual, and boy, I miss a hug more than anyone else, because we are human creatures and we crave that contact. But it is beautiful to be here because it's a testament. It is a testament to something that we have created together over many, many years. I was just talking to, communicating with John Palfrey, who some of you may know. John was at Harvard years ago. And I remember talking to him, goodness, almost like 2 decades ago. And he's like, oh, this makes total sense. Like, what a good idea. And he's like, how can I help? And so I think many years have passed. And I'm so proud that Harvard is in that Opportunity Hall of Fame. It's a select group of folks. We've had hundreds and hundreds of partners, thousands and thousands of donors, and we have a small group who are in that Opportunity Hall of Fame. And it signifies for us that continuous collaboration that we have had with Harvard for many, many years. I mean, I think if I go back to the first individual, I mean, it's probably 17 years when our first person was at HLS, and that was John, who was getting involved way back when it was just getting started. And then I think today we partner with Raj Chetty, with George Serafim at Harvard Business School, with Professor Joe Fuller, and kind of building a relationship not only to promote economic mobility and economic justice, but to deepen the understanding of what can we do as a country to promote more of this. And so to see how the relationship has grown, to me, I absolutely love. And to know that it's hard for me to walk across the yard in the morning when I would be going into the office typically and not bump into one of our students, interns, or graduates, and how good that felt and how excited they have always been to be part of the Harvard community. And there have been hundreds of young people who've gotten family-sustaining, full-time jobs at Harvard. And that, my friends, is what economic justice is. And the fact is that economic justice is racial justice in this country. And together we can promote that. You know, we sit here today and we know very clearly that opportunity isn't meted out equally in this country. And I think we also know at our core, that is not good for our democracy. It is not who we are as a country. When we use the words opportunity for all, and then we look ourselves in the mirror and say, we know that that is not the case. And so we've seen so clearly how this pandemic has exposed and exacerbated the epidemic of inequality and systemic racism in this country. And let's be clear, the pandemic has hit our community so hard in three different ways. First of all, a digital divide. When we moved thousands of young people virtually, they needed the broadband, which they did not have in cases, the infrastructure, the PCs, the laptops, didn't have that, right? We saw not only a digital divide, but we saw an economic divide because our students and their families are the ones who lost their jobs, right? 40% of the people who made less than $40,000 suffered unemployment and loss of economic employment during this time, 40%. That's our population. It's their brothers and sisters and parents who get hit by an economic divide, and yes, a health divide. I've talked to our students whose parents were hospitalized. I've talked to our students who lost their family members. And then I look back and I think, 1 out of 1,000 African Americans, 1 out of 1,000 Black Americans has died in this pandemic, 1 out of 1,000. 50% of the deaths have been people of color. That's the facts around how this pandemic has exacerbated these divides, whether they're health, economic, digital. And you know, and I see that, and it's painful. But at the same time, what I've learned from our students over these past several months has been remarkable because I've seen, witnessed, observed the most resilient, hardworking, persevering group of young people who said, this is my shot and I'm not going to lose it. I'm not going to lose this shot. I'm going to do what it takes. And yet, I'm trying to consume this program, perhaps not in an environment that's the easiest if I've got brothers and sisters and parents who need to take care of, and it may not be the easiest spot from which to do the studying, but you know what? I'm dressed professionally, I'm ready to go. And I'm going to keep showing you what it's going to take. And the fact is I've learned more about resiliency from our students the last 6 months than I've learned the past 55 years of my life, right? And if that doesn't give you hope as to who we are and what we can be at our best when we're going through our worst. And so the movement we're now seeing for racial justice and racial equity, that's also been significant for our organization. It has been both painful and powerful. It's been both hurtful and hopeful as our community works to understand, to promote, to advance what is happening around us. As a white person, it has raised my level of consciousness around white privilege, white supremacy, and systemic racism in ways that I'm grateful for, and also recognize how much more I have to do each day to not be just part of a system, but to try to work against a system and what that could mean long-term for our country. And so, yes, we know we have work to do. We know we have work to do to close this divide, to build more fair, more just, more equitable systems. And we also know 100% that Year Up works. It has been studied as rigorously as any program in the history of the United States, and they have concluded now, after 8 years of study, that no one has raised wages for low-income young adults more in the United States of America than Year Up. Period. End of sentence. You can document it and take it home. No one's done that better, and that's a testament to our young people. It's a testament to folks like Harvard who say, I will look differently at who's talented, at where talent resides in our country, and I will see people for who they are, not how society has encouraged us to look at those who perhaps have been born on the wrong side of the opportunity divide. And we believe fervently that as institutions like Harvard, who have power, who have privilege, that can use those very things to transform that status quo that has been held in place for hundreds of years and hopefully make us a more just country. That is a hopeful, powerful, and optimistic statement, and I know it can be true. And that's what gives us hope, right? Partnerships like this give us hope, and we're inspired by Harvard's commitment to deepen its own commitment to racial justice and racial equity. And we are so honored to continue to partner with you to build that community that, frankly, we know and we need to pass on to our children. So look, I'm grateful to spend some time with you this morning, and I'm even more honored and grateful to introduce one of our amazing students, Giancarlo Perez, who is an intern at Harvard Business School as a media tech specialist. That's what I get most excited about. So with that, Giancarlo, if I could turn over to you, and thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Gerald. Hello, everyone. My name is Giancarlo Perez, and I'm very honored to be able to speak with you today and share with you my story. I'm currently a Europe intern at Harvard Business School, working for the Information Technology Department. Just to give you guys a little background about myself, I was born in Guatemala. Shortly after I was born, my mother and father left for the United States so they can provide a better life for me. During this time, I lived with my grandparents, and when I was about 8 years old, I was brought to the States where I finally met them and my little sister. When I came to the United States, I did not know any English, honestly. It was like a whole new world to me. Many struggles came my way. I'm not gonna lie, school was never really my thing. I actually ended up dropping out of high school in my junior year because I had a beautiful daughter, and I knew that I had to step up and be able to provide for her. So I started working as a dishwasher at a local restaurant. From dishwasher, I went to a line cook, and then I got moved up to a busser. And shortly after that, I got moved up to a bar back position, all within a period of 5 years. I knew I had to give my daughter the absolute best, and I wanted her to be proud of me. I could not allow myself to be another statistic and be a dropout student. This led me to want to pursue my education by getting my GED. I want to be able to teach my daughter that things are not handed to her and that she can always achieve her goals. She just needs to work hard towards them. Like many other people in my country, I believe that once you got to America, it was easy to achieve the American dream. But honestly, at such a young age, I learned that it was far from easy. That's when I made the decision to apply to Europe. Once the COVID-19 outbreak came, I decided it was time for me to walk away from the restaurant industry. As a DACA dreamer, I can honestly say that without Europe, I'm not sure where I'll be today. Europe has allowed me to see more of myself. My communication skills have improved tremendously. My leadership skills, organization skills, and self-motivation have reached an all-time high. Europe did not only give me an amazing opportunity, but they're also a group of amazing team members who actually truly care about their students and get to know them personally. Europe cares about each individual and supports them even after they've graduated the program. I would without a doubt recommend Europe to all the young adults, especially those who may not be able to afford college, have a child, or need nights free to work at another job. Europe has shaped me to be a better individual and has helped me prepare for the working world. With the help of Europe, I now have a great support team. I am able to spend more time with my daughter, and I have left the industry in the restaurant industry to work at one of the best schools in the world. Yes, I might not have chosen that ideal college route, and sure, I had a child at such a young age, but I honestly wouldn't change that for anything in the world. I have my daughter 4 to 5 days a week now, and it is a challenge that she's also 4 years old and is also doing remote learning preschool. So not only do I need to keep myself focused on remote learning and work, but also on my daughter Jaslyn. When I take my lunch break, I honestly not find it. I don't find it to be a break, as my daughter wants to paint nails, go for a bike ride, play doctors, or just watch some PJ Masks on TV. It's funny. I never actually pictured myself working a 9 to 5 job, but I'm very happy right now and blessed that I'm able to have this internship at Harvard with a great team and manager. Working remotely was hard at the beginning, honestly, but as time went by, it became easier, especially because my team was always there to help me along the way. Not only do I have the support from my manager, Joseph Doxy, but also the rest of my team. And I'm confident that whenever I have an issue or a question, I can just ask them through Teams and I'll get a response very quickly. We at Technology Support Services tried our best to provide world-class technical support and services to HVS students, the faculty, and staff. We collaborate with customers and each other to meet people's needs with creativity, consistency, and care. And some of our core values include being accountable, collaborative, and empathetic, all useful tools to provide great customer service. I laugh now because I think that I may have picked the worst year to start a new path in my life, but I truly think that is the best year in my book. And I feel blessed to say that I'm not just another statistic. And I hope that this speech allows others to see that once they put their minds towards something, that they can achieve it with hard work and motivation. And just because your past might not be ideal and a bit rough around the edges, it does not set your future. So thank you all. I also would now like to introduce one of our current Harvard year managers, Edgar Joel Lamont Welch. Thank you.
Let's give Giancarlo a round of applause before. Awesome. Good
Thank
job.
you, Giancarlo. You are a tough act to follow. The great speech, great story, extremely inspirational. I will say this before I start. I definitely relate with you, Giancarlo. I came from Panama when I was 19 years old. I am now the director of media services at Harvard Business School. I can tell you that my experience as a manager of Europe interns started in a very interesting way. When I was first approached months ago, I was reluctant. And I was not reluctant because of the young men and women that are a part of this program, but I was reluctant because I did not know how I would do it justice. How would I provide them with the time that they need in order to grow, right? So for us to do our part in nurturing them, teaching them, and giving them the opportunities that they deserve. So after many conversations with my manager, I finally said, you know what, let's do this. I am all in. I had worked with interns before, but never with the Year Up program. And what a surprise. So my first experience was meeting the interns when they were first assigned to us. When I saw that group of individuals, they were all excited, eager, engaged, ready to succeed. And I was like, you know what? It reminds me of myself many, many, many years ago. In regards to the organization, I can tell you that communication, the timely information, the passionate staff that work with Year Up definitely has made my experience way, way better than I expected. My experiences with the Year Up interns have been amazing. They are engaged, motivated, driven. They are respectful. They want to succeed. I see it every day. My first intern was Ryan Lucy. When I first met him, he was extremely shy. And I was like, how am I going to get him going? how am I going to get him on track? It only took a couple days. He assimilated well with the group. He made friends. He started helping faculty, students. He was a success. He is now working with the virtual support team at HBS, supporting hybrid classes. We are one of the few schools in the country using the hybrid model. My current intern, Jamil Francisco, he asked me when he first came, he said, Edgar, can I work on campus? My first instinct was to just let him work virtually. And he approached me and he said, hey, Edgar, please let me work on campus. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. First, I'm going to speak to Anita and we're going to make sure that we are good to go on that front. We follow all the protocols. He gets his test twice a week, just like every other staff at HBS that's working with students in the classroom. A little bit about the hybrid environment. We transformed 16 of our classrooms so we can practice the case method, so we can have complete interaction between 25 students in the class and the rest of the students virtually. It is an amazing educational design that we have built here. And Jamil, for example, is at the forefront of the future of teaching as I see it. Because it is technology, things happen, right? Machines break, things don't work sometimes. One of the first major breakdowns that we had in regards to technology, Jamil was the first one that experienced it. One of our systems went down and he was helping the faculty at that moment. It was amazing to me to see Jamil's reaction to this. Poised, confident. Jamil acted as if he was a technician that has been working here for 10 years. And I saw it in action. I was so proud. I was so happy to see how he interacted and how he dealt with the situation. Complete professionalism. As a manager, I am so happy because the year of interns that I have worked with, they follow direction, they provide ideas, they follow advice, and they provide advice. They adapt well, virtually or in person. I have seen it on both sides of the fence. Somebody once asked me, what value do interns bring to HBS? I'm going to tell you that, for example, Jamil has literally changed the view that some of my technicians have today. Jamil's drive, desire to learn and succeed has literally changed how my technicians approach the work today. And I can honestly say it was just an injection of pride. Jamil was so proud of what he was about to do that it was infectious. And everybody was like, oh my God, look at this intern. Look at this energy. We have to do the same. And I see a group of technicians now in this very difficult time in the hybrid classroom that are succeeding.
You're muted, Edgar.
Edgar, we lost your sound.
Sorry.
There you go.
It just kind of muted itself. So in these difficult times, I saw Jamil play an intricate role in changing the attitude of my technicians. I am extremely grateful for what he's done and for what Europe has done for us. Is Europe something that is important to the community? Definitely. For the interns, it provides structure, guidance, opportunities. And for HBS itself, it brings us closer to the community and to the mission to build leaders for the future. So I have to say thank you to Europe and thank you for all the interns that have participated, that I have worked with. It is a great experience. So now I would like to introduce Mike Burke.
So before Mike takes over here, I just want to say, Edgar, you are amazing. What you just described is so heartwarming. Thank you for being a hero in working with the interns. You just described exactly what the best relationships that can exist at Harvard. And so I just wanted to make sure that we all show our appreciation to you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
All right.
Edgar, you thought it was going to be hard to follow Giancarlo, and now it's hard to follow you. So thanks for paying that forward. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for inviting me to speak. I've got precisely 1 year of experience with this program, but count me as a major booster at this point. I'm always very interested in establishing ways to identify and develop talented staff, and now I know how fertile Year Up is for this purpose. My experience last year with our wonderful intern, Bria Tarver, was a dazzling success. Bria was kind of unbelievable. Her poise, professionalism, and dedication were simply uncommon, not just of interns, but of any new staff. This was, of course, a reflection of Bria's high standards for herself, but I also believed it was a reflection of the high quality of Year Up's selection, training, and preparation of its interns. When I attended the graduation ceremony, I could see I was right that the entire Year Up cohort was pretty fabulous. If I had a couple dozen positions available last year, I would have filled them with graduates of that cohort. I'm nudging you, Leslie, and Chris, and Gary, so get me some more positions to hire people, please. Bringing in a career-minded person who understands their value and their potential is so refreshing. It was invigorating to work with such a promising professional. It was also humbling for us to realize we were there to model good professional behavior, to create an inclusive environment, and to help someone grow. It's a weighty responsibility. We took it very seriously. I think we would do this with anybody joining our office, but knowing that people will benchmark their future experiences against their experience at Harvard really mattered to me. I wanted to show a person early in their career the type of environment they should expect from future employers. I mentioned earlier that staff development was a particular interest of mine. I'm active in professional associations and informal networks in the registrar world, and I actively nurture relationships with people interested in advancing into leadership positions. Of course, I do this because it's the kind of help I would have appreciated at those stages in my career, but I also do it so I can identify talented people and help them advance at Harvard or wherever opportunities lead them. If you add in the accelerator that Year Up provides, you can really have a positive impact on people's lives and careers. It's such a mutual benefit for the employer and the intern. And I know it's a risky thing to say around Harvard people, but the training and preparation that Year Up provides its interns is highly valuable to me as an employer, and it's a greater signal than simply having a bachelor's degree. These interns come with strong motivation to succeed. Finally, though I have only 1 year of experience directly with Year Up, I know that people who have gone through this program are top-notch. One of our terrific full-time staff members graduated from Year Up before coming to Harvard, and it was touching to see her recite the pledge at Bria's graduation. With that kind of track record, I'm very excited to meet our next intern in January. To the current interns in the meeting today, please remember the registrar's office and the Faculty of Arts and Sciences at Harvard. When we're hiring, I want to hear from you, but even when we're not hiring, count me as an ally in your professional development. And now it's my pleasure to turn things over to my wonderful colleagues, Etane Smith, Senior Human Resources Consultant, and Gary Cormier, Director of HR Consulting, for questions and answers.
Let's hear it from Mike.
Oh, Mike. Well done.
Thank you, Mike. Great job. And Etane, you have to unmute.
Hold on. Did I do it? I just would need a Year Up intern to show me what to do right now. And if they were physically here, they would say, Etane, do this, which is what I've always done, depending on them.
So I just want to introduce two of our colleagues from Central Administration HR, Melissa Brown and Laurie Stickles, who do an awful lot for the Year Up program across the entire university. And I had the pleasure of attending a networking session that Laurie facilitated a few weeks ago. And I made a friend, Cal Keaton, who's on the call today. She and I followed up and had a great networking conversation after that session that Laurie facilitated. So thank you for being here, both Laurie and Melissa. So we're just going to spend a couple of minutes and see if anyone had any questions. And I just have one that's come in, and I'm going to ask Etane to start to respond to it. And perhaps Melissa already have more to add. And that is, what is Harvard doing to transition talent from the Year Up program to full-time opportunities?
Okay, I can respond to that. And we've talked about the reduction in staff positions. And I think one of the things that we have to think about is when we have open positions, we first look at the intern to make sure that they're qualified for the position. And I say that kind of like in a very sort of like defined way. And I think Mike spoke to that relative to a degree is not always the requirement for a particular position. And I think the interns who have transitioned into Harvard have been tested, have been proven, have been prepared. So we work closely with managers, we work closely with our budget constraints, and we transition folks into positions that they are probably qualified for because they've been working at those positions for a long time. I think earlier on when I came on, someone from Media Technology Services sort of like referenced how many interns we've had at Harvard. And I think that was probably one of the most fertile grounds for us to transition employees. And I think also Edgar is aware of all the folks who have come into the business school who were Year Up interns. So it's a preparation process, it's a relationship process, it's understanding that we have talented, prepared individuals who are qualified for positions at Harvard and who are fully capable to perform those tasks.
Melissa.
Yeah, Gary, thank you. And thanks for inviting us this morning. The other piece I wanted to add, because Attain, I agree with that 100%. Chris and I think Linda Picard's on the call, and some of the HR deans know, as much as we're living in kind of a very challenging time right now, in response to the university's early retirement program that went out, one of the populations we're looking at, we are dissecting the data of who is retiring, which roles would be refilled. And I just wanted everyone to know the Year Up alumni population, as well as current interns. Actually, Anita, I'm going to chat with you about this tomorrow as well. Local interns in the area, we really have a keen eye on saying this could be an opportunity to place the talent that we have at the university, or again, locally, into roles that have become open as part of this process. So I just want you to know that this is constantly a population that's on our mind. And we want to do what we can, as challenging as this time will be for the university to see so many talented, longstanding employees go. I think it's a fabulous opportunity to provide some internal and career mobility for our Year Up alums and current interns. So just wanted to let you know that's also something that's afoot.
That's great. Thank you, Melissa. Laurie, would you add anything, or are we covered?
I'm always up for adding something, of course. Gary, I oversee the programs team for our Year Up interns university-wide, and we have a session every month, and it's geared towards career development and career mobility. And as we're moving towards the end of this current cohort, we're really ramping up looking at creating job portfolios that are targeted and succinct. And in December, we're going to have our career panel and our round robin with our recruiters, our volunteers from the Harvard recruitment community who come and spend time with our interns, get to know them, thinking about open positions that they may have in mind. So we're really looking forward to that in December. And then in January, we will have more one-on-one assistance available for any intern who wants to meet with me or any of my team members or any of the recruiters to really look at their individual job search plan, whether we hope it's at Harvard, but sometimes it's Harvard and beyond. And that's what we specialize in, is really focusing on the skills and interests of each of our interns. So I may be tapping many of you to help out with any of these activities. And we have a wonderful volunteer base here at the university, very interested and invested in our interns and our alums. So thanks for letting me share that, Gary.
Yeah, thank you.
Gary, there's a question in the chat. I really want to have an intern in our office, but with the pandemic, it feels like it's harder to ask. How can I show them that this is just And also that is a smart business move. Want to respond to that? Thoughts?
Gee, I would look at Chris and Leslie and Anita. I almost feel overwhelmed because it's such an important thing right now to support this program.
I can chime in by saying there's many doors when you're in this situation. So talk to your HR consultant. That's one of the folks that reports into FAS HR. They're very well aware of the program and understand it and support it. You could reach out to Attain. You could reach out to me, Gary, Leslie. You can reach out to any of us. There's no wrong door here. And what we will do is understand your needs, and then look at our current pipeline and match up. Obviously, we'd be talking with Anita, who's been our stalwart and wonderful partner for so many years, and we would make that happen. So that's again, sometimes it's hard to know where to go. We send out a lot of communications. I know we try not to overload folks, but we're here. And this is one of the things that this breakfast hopes to do, which is to spread awareness of Year Up. And I would add to what Laurie and Melissa and Attain said, Gary, about transitioning the interns. When I got involved a long time ago at Harvard, I was back at the School of Public Health, and HLS reached out to me and said, hey, there's this great program, like you should look into it. And I probably talked for a half hour and said, yeah, this is a great program, count us in. And then transitioned it to FAS. But there's been such a great deal of intentionality. First, it was about bringing interns in. And over the years, it has become not just bringing interns into Harvard, but how can we transition those interns to jobs at Harvard? And that was a strategic priority, as well as expanding the footprint of Year Up at Harvard. And once Central got involved, the likes of Melissa Brown, Laurie Stickles, that intentionality around the transition of internship to regular job really took off. And that caused us to look at the job descriptions of entry-level jobs that Year Up individuals would go into. And sometimes the experience level wasn't conducive to the experience level of a Year Up intern, and changes were made. So we've opened doors in a pretty significant way by looking intentionally at how can we transition from the internship to a regular job. And we're very grateful at FAS for the partnership from Central and from other schools to be able to do that.
I would add to all of the really intelligent things that have been said already about this. It is true that Harvard is under extreme pressure right now because of the pandemic and its effects on our financial situation. And it's true related to that we are being very careful about adding people to the payroll while we are trying to, at the same time, protect as much of our current workforce as we can with reduced funds. But at the same time, it's also true that we're very committed to Year Up and to diversifying our employee base for reasons that we've all talked about today. And we know that Year Up is a really, really effective way to bring in young talent. So I would say, to Chris's point about, if you are keen to make the case to have an intern in your department, especially if it's the first one, think about what Mike Burke said. Sometimes it just takes that first one to open the door for everybody else. So especially in this time, think about how to make the case for how a Year Up intern could solve a problem in a very effective way without necessarily having to, bring on additional full-time staff. So just sort of think about how you would frame this request in a way that really responds to the situation we're in, instead of it sounds as though it's contradicting sort of Harvard's current position. And the HR colleagues or any of the rest of us, I think, could help do that.
Great, thank you, Leslie.
you.
Jane, any other questions?
No, I think that's it for now.
Okay, can I just have a few closing comments that I want to share with everybody? You may have heard of Dr. Carol Dweck. She's a well-known psychologist from Stanford University. She actually taught here at Harvard at one point as well. Her research centers on how the right mindset can help us structure our lives and guide our behaviors. And she tells us with a growth mindset, we can embrace continuous learning, we can confront uncertainty and welcome challenges. Pretty reminiscent of the time we've lived in the past 8 months. But remarkably, also the mindset that it takes to experience success as a year-up intern, I'm sure. We share the growth mindset right now at Harvard as we participate in this program that I believe changes lives, especially now at a time of uncertainty. It takes continued effort and commitment to support Year Up's mission. In terms of effort, I leave you with another quote from Carol Dweck, who said, "Effort is one of those things that gives meaning to our lives. Effort means we care about something important to us and that we're willing to work for it." Thank you for everyone's effort to be here today, for caring about Year Up and the meaning it offers to all of us. Thank you very, very much, everybody.
Barry, thank you.
Thank you,
I just want to, one final word of thanks to Dominique Bocanagra and to Jess Bound from my team. These events, this one was flawlessly run, don't happen by accident. So thank you very much. And to our support, Blake from Media Services, to help us to make sure that we weren't going to experience any issues. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys, for your work for many weeks to bring today to fruition. I appreciate that. We all appreciate that.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
For everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
great rest
you.
of the day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Bye. all.
Thank you.